We're now joined by Schapelle Corby's former lawyer, Kerry Salinger, formerly Kerry Smith-Douglas. Kerry, thank you for giving us some time this morning. A bit of history first. You took over Schapelle Corby's case. You weren't there at the very beginning. You took over after she'd been jailed. How did you get involved? Why were you called on?
Her mother and her campaign director came to my home one Sunday and asked me if I would be her Australian lawyer. So I accepted and worked from there on a pro bono basis.
Because you believed in her innocence? Because you believed that this was a gross miscarriage?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Her family have had a lot of stick from the media. They've been painted in a very bad light, often by the media, as has Schapelle Corby on many occasions. I mean, what is the family like? The
family are very Australian. They're ordinary Australian people. They're not well-educated people. They found it difficult dealing with the media. They didn't trust the media on many occasions, and as a result, they were shy of the media. They knew that the girl was innocent right from the word go. She hasn't had a fair trial. It's been disgraceful, really. If she was in Australia, she probably would have got a suspended sentence and walked home because she didn't have any prior convictions of any light drug offences and no priors at all. So it's just very odd that Schapelle Corby would bring that amount of drugs over from Australia to Indonesia when the courts refused to specify the origin of the drug. And that would have put the case at rest, and particularly when the drugs in Australia are far more expensive than those in Indonesia. Which nobody could understand in the first place. But, you know, regardless of whether she's guilty or not, she faced this sentence. She was incarcerated in Indonesia. The length of time, though, is what has shocked so many people. Even if you decided for yourself Schapelle Corby was guilty, 20 years inside a jail in Indonesia is extraordinary. And I mean, you believe that she's mentally unwell as a result of this? Well, it's not just my belief, but Australia, one of the magazines in Australia sent over a psychiatrist, and he examined her and came back with a result stating that unless she came back to Australia getting specific psychiatric help, she was in danger of losing her mind completely. Indonesian authorities ignore this, or is this behind this early release? I mean, why do you think they're doing this now? I think, well, her parole time is up. She's allowed to apply for parole, so she is. She has been to hospital on 2 occasions that I know of because of her mental incapability of coping with the situation over there. I also saw a video clip of Schapelle walking across the quadrangle at the jail, and she was hunched over. And she used to be such a pretty girl. She was hunched over, her mouth was open, and you could see the saliva running down her chin. If she is released, and when she is, we assume she will be, let's say she's released in the next couple of days, she now has to, she's obliged to stay in Bali, to stay with her sister. I mean, what sort of bail conditions are these for her? I mean, is this something you think which can get her back to some sort of normality? Well, we need to, and Australia really needs to push the government over there, and it's the President that will make that decision. He seems like well, he's the rule maker over there. So I just wish that our government had more backbone and made a call, pick up the phone, even though they're listening into his telephone calls, pick up the phone and ask them to do a prisoner exchange program, which was going to happen in 2005. Yeah, they've been talking about that for years. Yeah. One thing, though, is the huge media interest. We know that the media are gathering right now. I mean, at the end of the day, she might be able to walk out of there. I mean, can she sell her story? Is she allowed to sell her story under Indonesian law? No, she can't make any profits out of a crime. So there was a girl on New Idea, and I think it was Mercedes that they went 50-50 in some deal. They wrote a book, which was a very good book. I read it, and it did show all the flaws of the court case. That's Mercedes, the sister? Yes. Kerry Salinger, thanks for giving us some time this morning. It's an extraordinary case. It really is. Thanks for coming in to see us. It's my pleasure.